So, as we begin our look at Michelangelo's David, let's keep these four things in mind. 1. The medieval and Renaissance association of David and Hercules as symbols of fortitude. 2. The medieval and Renaissance ideas of the symbolism of the sides of the body. 3. The political dimension assumed by Donatello's David of 1408. And finally, with the expulsion of the Medici in 1494, Florence declared herself to be a free republic. From September 1501 to April 1504, Michelangelo worked on the David. He worked on it in the workshop of the Opera del Duomo, that is where the Museo dell'Opera del Duomo is now. That block of Carrara marble called Il Gigante had been raised upright. It apparently had been laying down on its long side for the past 4 decades. And Michelangelo carved it with the understanding that it would be placed on one of the buttresses of the Duomo. It was, in other words, to be seen from far down below. And perhaps this explains the overlarge head, hands, and the great undercut lock of hair on the forehead. During this time, Michelangelo accepted other commissions, but he had his assistants basically carry these out. We do not know the progress of Michelangelo's work. There are no extant records or diary accounts of his progress. We just have some incidental anecdotes. For instance, when he began, one of the first things he had to do was to cut away a drapery knot of Agostino di Duccio, or perhaps of Rossellino. In other words, it was probably Michelangelo's decision now to go from a clothed David to a nude David. We know that in 1502, when he was nearly halfway through the statue, they increased his pay, and there are the first hints of people discussing the matter of should the place of display be changed. In 1504, when the statue was nearly finished, Piero Soderini, the gonfaloniere of Florence, came to look at the statue. Michelangelo made the mistake of asking him what he thought of the statue, and Soderini said it looked quite good, except for the fact that the nose was too big. So dutifully, Michelangelo climbed back up in the scaffolding with a handful of marble chips and dust, made the motions of tapping away at the nose, dropped the dust down on Soderini, went through the farce of pretending to polish the newly cut nose, came down, and Soderini pronounced the statue perfect. Now let's start with the pose. The pose of the David is a variant of the ancient contrapposto pose, or as we say in English, the chiastic pose. Contrapposto in Italian means positioned against, and chiastic comes from the Greek letter chi. The contrapposto pose is a harmony of counterbalancing forces, and the pose has an ancient pedigree that goes back to the Doryphorus by Polycletus of Argos, which was done in the mid-5th century BC.